Hey guys, welcome to the Game Precast, episode 20. My name is Frank. I'm joined by Mike. This is our podcast where we talk about all things gaming. We like to start the show off with talking about what games we've been playing, what books we've been reading, what movies, TV shows we've been watching. So, Mike, kick it off. What have you been doing recently?
Well, when it comes to books, I don't think I mentioned this on last week's podcast because I don't think I had it finished yet, but I did finally conclude Heir to the Empire, the first book in the Thrawn trilogy. Utterly fantastic. Definitely replaced Force Awakens in my headcanon. So now I'm on the Dark Force Rising, which I shouldn't have to say it, but yeah, it's better than The Last Jedi. I mean, the shit I took this morning was better than The Last Jedi, so
It's not hard to do
doesn't take
that.
much to beat that. But this is actually really quality. I'm almost 100 pages in, so that's good. In terms of what I've been watching, well, before I get to the main thing that I want to talk about, which
Yeah, I
you
think I
already
know
know
what
what
that
that
is.
is. No, you already know for sure what that is. I want to talk about Falcon and Winter Soldier and how let down I was by it. I mean, as an MMA fan and an MMA enthusiast, it was awesome seeing George St. Pierre in the beginning as in a little cameo playing the guy who captured that US Army dude that Falcon was trying to rescue. So it was cool seeing the greatest welterweight of all time in there, but that's besides the point. In terms of actual quality, I understand what people like about it. For sure, it is definitely more slower paced than other Marvel content. It's definitely, I guess, more grounded, about as grounded as Marvel can get, I suppose, in terms of the MCU. You want to see real grounded Marvel, you watch Logan, in my opinion, right? Or like Daredevil, Punisher, Defenders, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Something more gritty and real. It didn't feel grounded to me, especially in the beginning when Falcon's blowing up like 5 Blackhawks just flying through the air, just absolutely massacring the enemy. It's just like I don't like I get the relationship with his family is what people are talking about and stuff like that, and they're like struggling, but I don't know, man. You you could sell that power pack you have on your back, or really any of the advanced Stark tech you have for like a couple mil, couple hundred mil, couple bill, even,
Well,
and
the
you would
fact
be
thing that for me, let me just cut you off real quick. The fucking fact is that Pepper Potts, or the fuck her stupid name is, she's got like
yeah.
$10 billion just sitting in the bank, and she can't like. He needed $100,000, bro, to save his fucking boat or whatever.
Well, he could have asked. To be fair, is she supposed to be omniscient and know everybody's
I don't
problems?
know.
You know,
They
but
need a Avengers trust fund or something.
it's something like that. I don't want to spoil the ending of the episode because if people haven't watched that, I'm not going to be the guy to ruin it for you. But what I will talk about is the only thing I really liked, which was Sebastian Stan's performance as Bucky Barnes, Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
There's what I didn't really expect was that we were going to get a flashback of him actually as the Winter Soldier kicking ass, and that was cool to see because Captain America: Winter Soldier is definitely one of my favorite
Well, was that a
MCU
flashback or
movies.
was it a dream?
That
So I
was a
wasn't sure if that was a
dream.
flashback or if that was a dream of him like
Well,
thinking about what could happen in the future to him if he lets himself go again.
no, that's a dream of something he did because that's leads into my favorite plot line because his dream was he was killing a bunch of shield guys for Hydra or something like that, and there was a civilian that witnessed him that couldn't get away into their hotel room in time, and he killed him. Meanwhile, in the present, he's hanging out with this old Asian dude. He's making friends with him. He goes to get lunch and coffee with him, and then you realize that the dude that Sebastian Stan killed was the guy's son. So
Really?
he's
Wait,
yeah,
I didn't even pick that up. What the fuck?
there's a shrine of his son in his room when he goes to meet him at his apartment. Like it's behind him with all the candles lit
Yeah.
up, and he's like saying how he's never been the same since his son passed. And if you see on his notes, it says, like Norion there because he needs to talk to the father to be like, hey, I killed your son, and just like he's trying to get past it, but he just can't handle that guilt
Bro, I did
because
not
he's
pick
like
up on
actually
that. What the fuck?
befriended this guy. And that I really enjoyed. That was definitely my favorite plot line in the entire episode. So I hope we get to see some resolution in addition to that further, along the show. And I'm not saying I don't like Anthony Mackie's performance or anything just by saying I favor Sebastian Stan's storyline because Anthony Mackie is great in this. I thought he was great as Falcon. He continues to be great. It's just I think what he was given, you know, isn't necessarily the best part of the show, which is unfortunate because in this first episode, Falcon got way more screen time than Winter Soldier did. So
I
I
feel
would like to see more happen with him.
I feel
So
like
anyway,
this could have benefited from having a two-part like introduction, like kind of like with WandaVision they did. They had both of episode 1 and episode 2 come out at the same time for that first week, and then went to weekly releases. I feel like they could have really benefited from doing that, just to give more screen time and even it out a little bit more. But they obviously didn't do that, which I think is weird, just because of the fact that they did do it with WandaVision. I get probably the reason they want to do it with WandaVision was to more sell it on the fact that that's a sitcom. It's not for everyone, but watch our first 2 episodes and start picking up on the hints that this whole show is not going to be a sitcom.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't watched WandaVision yet, but that definitely sounds like it'd be a better approach than what they took with Falcon and Winter Soldier here. But I think I'm at least going to watch the second episode to see if it can pick up. But if not, I don't think I'm going to stick around. It just isn't the most interesting thing to me, especially when within the same week you get Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Yeah.
Now you can already tell by the expression on my face how I feel about this movie.
Yeah, he's
I
watched
mean,
it 6 fucking times.
the Justice League can go burn in hell and never return. I want it to be turned to ashes and just stay that way forever. I mean, what the hell? No, I'm sorry. What the fuck was this guy thinking, man? It's just like, yeah, I'm going to take out all the emotional weight, all the character development, and just throw in corny jokes everywhere I fucking can. You want to hear about, Barry Allen saving the goddamn world, or do you want to hear him talking about how brunch is awkward? It's like, where does this guy get off? I don't understand what the thought process was. Did WB just go to him and be like, hey, yeah, this was 4 hours. Cut it in half, make it a flat 2, and make it as corny as possible, like some Marvel flicks, but just not as good. And then that's what, Justice League was. But now, with this new 4-hour iteration, which definitely had to be this long, a lot of people were saying, like, oh, maybe it could have just been 3.5 hours. No, you watch this film, you can tell every single bit of that 4 hours is used up perfectly because they didn't have all the time to build up to the first of it, to their first like ensemble movie like Marvel did with the Avengers. They rushed it along.
Yeah.
And Zack Snyder recognized that, okay, that it sucks that this has to be forced, but I can still fit a lot of exposition and make this work. And Joss Whedon said, fuck that. We don't need all that. And it just, the stuff that they chose to cut out, like, and I am going to get a little bit spoilery here. So if you haven't watched the movie, skip ahead. There will be timestamps. Flash saving the goddamn world. Can we talk about that for a second?
Go for it, bro. This is all you. This is...
Dude, like, of all the things, like in Jeremy John said in his review, of all the things to cut out, you cut out them losing, Steppenwolf winning, Darkseid coming to Earth, and Flash having to go back in time to stop all that, and instead you have him rescue this random family in a radioactive part of Eastern Europe.
See, I almost wish that I watched the Joss Whedon version, because I saw like bits of it. Like I saw like the last 20 minutes of it, I think, when it first came out. But it's like I feel like I'm almost not missing because I can't compare it to Zack Snyder's version to it, because everyone's talking about, like, whenever you see an review, they're talking about comparing stuff directly.
Because you have to.
Yeah, and I am gonna watch it now, and it's just gonna be a weird comparison, because then I'll be comparing Zack's to that rather than seeing Joss's version first.
Yeah. No, and another main thing that really sucks about Joss as compared to Zack's is the villain, Steppenwolf. Steppenwolf is a gimped bitch in Joss Whedon's cut of the film. And he has no motivation really. He's just kind of a massive husk who is just kind of there to kill. And we don't ever really just give a shit about Steppenwolf in Joss Whedon's cut. And then Snyder's, we can actually sympathize with this guy, or empathize at the very least. Like, he's been cast out, he fucked up royally, and he can't come home. Now he finds his golden opportunity to stake his claim and say, hey, I know I did bad, but I can come back. I can be better. I can help you with your conquest, Darkseid. Like, Desaad, let me talk to him, please. But, you actually start to be like, oh, this guy has more to him than just the outside layer. Because let's be honest, man, that's something we can all relate to, is not being able to come home when we want.
Yeah.
Everybody's experienced that at least once, and this man's been experiencing it for hundreds, if not thousands of years. Like Desaad says to him, like, you still owe us 50,000 planets before you can come back. Like, that's not gonna happen. But now he finally finds the key, the planet, the primordial planet that Darkseid failed to take all those years ago. And yes, it has the anti-life equation, which allows for the domination and subjugation of all planets and life throughout the entire multiverse. And that equation lies on Earth. So he will be going there hopefully in the sequel, and then he'll
If
win,
it ever
destroy the
happens.
planet, go back in time. If it happens, which they don't seem very keen on doing, but I don't know why, considering it is a success from what I can see online, and it was their mistake in the first place that led it to not even being released. So
Yeah.
regardless, just the dialogue's better, the cinematography's better, the lighting's better, the action's better. Um, it's just so much better, and I loved it. I'm gonna say something real controversial here, and this is not. I don't believe this to be objective because all this stuff is entirely subjective. But I got to put my opinion out there. I think Zack Snyder's Justice League is better than Infinity War and Endgame combined. I truly do. Um, Very biased perspective. I'll come out and say that right now. I'm not going to be one to deny that because I definitely love DC's characters more. I grew up with them first. I've always found them more compelling. Batman is my favorite superhero, basic, but what are you going to do? I just like that a man can be on par with like these gods and in some cases beat them, outsmart them, or outwit them or whatever. So, Batman has my respect, and I've just always love this stuff, and to see them finally done justice and in a dark way. But people are going to be like, oh no, we've seen these characters, or at least Batman, done in a dark way before with the Nolan trilogy, which is the premier superhero comic book films. I'll give you that, but this is like a graphic novel come to life. And I said that on Twitter. Like, Zack Snyder's Justice League is literally just a dark graphic novel, kind of like in the same vein of like Dark Knight Returns, almost just brought to life. And you see that violence, but it's still heavily comic book like Avengers, but it's darker than that stuff could ever dare to be because they were owned by Disney. So I really just feel like it's the ultimate comic book movie, and to have it with characters I like more than the Marvel characters, and to have a plot line that is veering very close to Injustice, or at least it's seeming to be, which I love those games, and it has one of my favorite villains of all of fiction, in Darkseid, because I grew up watching Justice League, the TV show Ultimate, and Darkseid was always a menace there. So to see him on the big screen finally was awesome. And if we get those sequels where he does invade Earth, where he does win, and then they need to go back in time to stop it, and people could be like, oh, now they're copying Avengers. Flash did it first. I don't care. Flash has been able to do this a lot longer than the Avengers have, so we shall see. And I know I've been rambling, and I haven't really had a structure to what I've been saying, but Zack Snyder's Justice League good. That's the
That's
main
the
takeaway
perfect
from this.
summary.
And in my opinion, I think it's a 9 out of 10. Personally, I view it to be a 10, but like objectively for what it is, the genre that it's in, compared to other films from that same studio, I think it's a 10.
Very fair.
But oh yeah, I forgot. This is a show about games. And what I've been playing. I'll go through this real quick. Thank God we have timestamps, right?
Yes.
Um, I replayed Jedi Fallen Order. This time on PlayStation because I already had it 100% on Xbox, and I wanted to replay it again, and I ended up platinuming it. So
Bro, you platinumed it that quickly? 'Cause I
yeah,
remember you
well,
saying you're gonna start it. You did that fucking quickly.
it doesn't take that long. I mean, the game came out November 15th, 2019, and I 100% it on Xbox November 18th.
Jesus
And so
Christ.
like in 3 days. So like I definitely explored more off the bat than going back and doing it after the game because I wasn't trying to rush through it to avoid spoilers this time. So
Yeah.
I was able to get a lot done earlier. And like in terms of like how many days I was playing it, it was longer because I spread it out over time and I had work to do for school. But it definitely took me a shorter in-game time to get it done, and I loved every second of it. I mean, Jedi Fallen Order, we talked about last week, phenomenal game, best Star Wars game from EA, and definitely the last 5-7 years. Um, I'm tempted to go back through it and play it on Grandmaster. Even there's no trophies, no incentives, no anything. I can't bring over my health or healing items or even skills. I kind of want to run around the hardest difficulty because I only played on like Jedi Master, which is the one right below it. So I want to do the extreme experience. And then I played a little bit this week, a little relaxing game that's been on PC for a while, but they brought it to console and I didn't know, so I decided to pick it up. That is House Flipper. No judgments, please. It's literally a game about buying and flipping
Fixing up
houses and
houses.
fixing them up. Yeah, you do contracts for people, and you all know what my defense is. It's relaxing, and it is.
I
So,
watched a fucking YouTube Let's Play from T Martin for like 40 episodes.
oh my god. I didn't even know people made videos on it, but yeah, no, it's a very chill game, a good time killer. And then last night I started up two games that, well, one I never played and one I haven't played in a really long time. The one I haven't played in a really long time is God of War 1, but I was playing on the PS3 remaster version, or at least the HD version, and wow, that game's first boss is tough, man. The Hydra, I did not die at all, which was surprising. And I was playing on normal, but it was an endurance test. It was a solid 15-minute fight. I'm talking about the second Hydra fight because there's two Hydra boss fights and they're both pretty challenging. The first one was relatively easy, just because I played hack and slashes for a long time. But the second one was really, like I said, an endurance test. It just took a lot of time to get done because you have to fight three Hydras at the same time, and then the final one is really tanky. Um, but the adrenaline rush that you get after beating a boss in those games, it's like Devil May Cry, it's like Castlevania, it's just so satisfying. And just you can really tell that Sony Santa Monica has really been at their peak for decades now. I mean, they just keep killing it. Because even though God of War 1's very different, gameplay wise and even, narrative wise, it's much more high octane than, 4 is. 4 is more mellow and low key, but
Yeah.
they still have that spark today that they had back then, and still the same level of quality. And it's just fun to revisit a classic like that. And then I didn't play this that much. I got maybe about two and a half runs in before I went to bed, and that is Hades on Switch. This game is a lot of fun. I don't have that much to say about it because I haven't played that much of it, but probably one of the best roguelites I've ever played in terms of, the aesthetic. I love the art style. It's beautiful. The dialogue's funny, it's witty, seeing like these guys, just like kind of bicker and talk shit, roast each other is pretty funny. And the gameplay is just phenomenal. I mean, it's very beyond fluid, very fast paced, which kind of was um a welcome thing for me because I do like fast-paced combat, and Bloodborne stuff like that. And it is challenging. There is no regenning health unless you like get an ability and you reach the next room, and when you die, you die. That's it. You go back to your home, and then you have to redo the run again. But it is one of those games like every run you have, you'll get a new skill or a type of currency to unlock a new weapon or new item or what have you, and then over time you just become more powerful, and then each run you get, in theory, should be longer, and then eventually you'll get close to the end. If there is an end, I don't know if there is. I'm assuming there is. So, um, eventually, just after trial and error and perseverance, you will eventually be able to escape Hades. And very fun. Going to play more of it today. I've gone on long enough. What have you been up to this week? What have you been watching? What have you been reading? What have you been playing?
Well, obviously, Justice League and Falcon Winter Soldier, which we talked about. A little bit of Entourage, but I'm not going to talk about that. But for gaming, two things, just DLC, so nothing major. But the Outer Worlds second DLC, which I enjoyed a lot more than Peril and Gorgon. It's called Murder on Yafaros. It's more of like a mystery detective kind of DLC. You're trying to figure out the murder, and you're at like this resort on some sort of asteroid type thing in the sky. And yeah, it's a pretty big world that you're exploring there. Decent amount of side content overall. The story's not bad. Um, yeah, I enjoyed it. I think it's definitely worth the I want to say $15. Maybe it's even less. I'm not sure. It's either
Is
10
it
or
for free?
15.
Is it for free on Game Pass?
No, it's
No?
no, it's 10% off on Game Pass.
That's
Uh,
unfortunate.
yeah, all the DLC on Game Pass is for the most part paid. You just get the discount.
Looks up High Busters for Gears of War.
Yeah, that was the only exception. And then anything that comes with like an Ultimate Edition on the Game Pass.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, overall I enjoyed it. It's the final, well at least they're saying it's the final DLC for the Outer Worlds. So my time with that game is finished. It was a pretty good send off though, and I'm definitely excited to see Avowed and what Obsidian's gonna do with the AAA budget. Because I mean, people gotta remember that that was a AA game. That was not a AAA game by them. That was AA, and they did a fantastic job. And when they released that, Fallout 76 came out, and they outshined Fallout 76, which had a AAA budget. So I have very high hopes for Avowed. And
I
then,
do too.
and then second, I played the Avengers DLC. Now let me just say that getting the PS5 version should not be this fucking hard. It was unbelievable. All right, so you got to go on your PS5, and then you have to download the PS4 version. You have to go onto your PS4 version. You have to press the migration save thing. Well, actually, before that, you have to go into your cloud saves, and you have to download your cloud saves. If you
Or upload them.
you have to upload because I had my PS4 and I traded it in. So I had to transfer all my PS4 saves to my PS5. So you have to go in there. You have to grab that save anyway. You have to download it. Then you have to download the PS4 version on your PS5. You have to launch it. You have to go over to migrate save. You press that. It does a download thing. Then you get off the game. You have to download the PS5 version of the game. And then you have to load it up. And then there you go. But they don't tell you any of that. They expect you to fucking just magically know this.
For a
And
live
then-
service game that's constantly connected to the internet, it should just be an automatic.
It should. They should have cloud saves.
migration.
And that's how it is on Xbox. Xbox had a
Yeah,
very
smart delivery's not a gimmick, as it turns out.
smart delivery fucking works, I guess, dude. I mean,
It
unbelievable.
just works.
You launch your game on the Series X, and wow, it fucking works. You don't have to download the Xbox One version. Just 10
I
times
had to
easier.
I do the same thing, transferring my save from Neo 2 to Neo 2 Remastered. It was a pain in the ass.
Yeah, but it took me 2 hours to do that, so that was like a very fun experience. But so then I went to
Sounds
bed and I started up the first DLC in the morning. But let me just say that I don't know if my game is bugged, but the PS5 upgrade version that they delayed, they made players wait an additional 4 or 5 months for this to come out. The PS5 upgrade, it barely made any difference over the PS4 version. Like I was looking at comparison pictures, and it almost looks just as like bad. Like the performance mode, like yeah, you're getting a more solid 60 FPS, but it looks like 720p at sometimes because it has dynamic resolution, and yeah,
Oh.
sometimes it's sitting at 4K, but other times it's dropping down to 720p. So it's like, and this game should very much easily be able to handle 4K 60 FPS without dropping, because the PS4 Pro was able to handle 4K 30 FPS without dropping very hard. So I don't know what they did, but
Checkerboard 4K, but yeah.
the fact that checkerboard 4K is not as, at least like when I think checkerboard's a lot better than dynamic, because the thing with
Yeah.
dynamic is you could be at 4K and then you could drop down to 1080p or lower and it looks like complete dog shit. And that's happening constantly. And I only did the Kate Bishop DLC so far. Oh my god, I don't know how anyone plays this game for anything besides the story. Like, the whole entire DLC, there's I think 6 or 7 missions. Every mission besides one, you're going to an AIM bunker. It's the same.
Go figure.
And they're all in the snow tundra, so you're walking through the snow landscape every time. You get to an AIM bunker, you go down an elevator, you fight a few more enemies, and then you're at the end. It's unbelievable. The story was pretty good. I enjoyed that, but you had to do so much to get the story, because every time you're just, all right, walk through the tundra. Oh, here's an AIM bunker. Go down the elevator. Oh, here's a very similar repetitive gameplay mechanic from the base game. Oh, here's a boss fight that you had in the base game. Here it is again.
Is it Abomination?
No, it's the giant ass robot thing that's kind of what is those things in Star Wars? Not the things in the Clone Wars. They're kind of like tanks on 4 legs.
Tank ATTs?
Let me Google it, bro. Clone Wars AT.
I think you're talking about ATTs.
I am talking about that. Yeah, it looks like that. It looks like an ATTE. And that was, I don't know if you got to it because I know you didn't beat the base
No,
game.
I have not.
But that fucking boss fight is the same exact boss fight that you do in the base game. And so they just copy and pasted that into the DLC and said, all right, you're going to fight this. They had one unique, I think it was unique. I don't remember fighting it in the base game, but I might be wrong. They had like one unique boss fight towards the end of the Kate Bishop DLC. And playing as Kate Bishop is fun. She's actually a really cool character to play as. But the fact that they thought it was a good idea to make Kate Bishop be your first DLC Avenger, and then have Clint Barton be your second on. They're both Hawkeye, so you're both having a very similar playstyle character, and you're not really getting much, difference between the two of them. It's still a bow, you have a sword, very similar mechanics. One can teleport, one has to use a freaking grappling hook to go move around, and it just feels like a cop out almost. Because
Not almost.
and like. If they were smart, now if I was in charge of this game and I was working on it, you have these Disney Plus series that come out, and they're gonna have at least some fans. You don't know. I don't think anyone expected it to be as big as WandaVision got on the internet and how popular that got, but you would at least know it's gonna have millions of people watching it. So why wouldn't you have Vision and Scarlet Witch be your first two DLC characters?
A lot of effort.
Is it a lot of effort? I mean, how hard could it really be?
Well, they would have entirely different movesets and powers and skill trees, compared to two people that shoot a bow and arrow.
But with the amount of people working on this game, with Square Enix money, they should be able. And Vision, I'm sure Vision would play very similar to Iron Man, unless I'm crazy. The flying would be all the same for the most part.
The combat should be different, like the hand-to-hand would be a lot different. But yeah, they could use the same thing for his unibeam and just stick it in Vision's forehead and change it to yellow.
Yeah, you don't have to make a lot of changes to make these characters. You can use a very similar layout. But in a perfect world, they would have done that. And then they would have saved the Hawkeye characters for when the Hawkeye TV show comes out. Because Hawkeye is going to be a lot more popular when that show comes out. Whenever, I think it's the end of the year or in 2022. Because both Kate Bishop and Clint Barton are going to be in that show. So that's when those characters would be the most popular. Right now, or by the time that Falcon and Winter Soldier ends, Winter Soldier and Falcon should be getting added into the game, in theory. By the time the Loki TV shows, that's when Loki should have been getting added to the game. They had perfect timing to do it, just adding these characters as soon as their shows end, because people want more of this character because their show just ended where they've been watching them for the last couple weeks, and now you can play them in your game. That makes people want to go play your game. But instead, they add it to Hawkeyes, and then the next piece of content, which we'll talk about in a little bit when we talk about the Square Enix Presents, but that's a way off. But that is enough of my rant. I still got to play the second part of the Hawkeye DLC. It's, I believe, an hour and a half, so it's pretty short, but I'll do that today. But that is my rant.
Yeah, I would like to check out the DLCs, but until they reverse the grind, I really
Yeah, they're not gonna fucking do that.
Yeah, why?
Oh, and the player base is already dead. I checked the Steam charts. It's legit. Their Steam charts is already what it was before the DLCs came out.
It's their own damn fault.
It is. They're just. All right, let's move into the news. We just write a timestamp down. All right. So our first piece of news is regarding the Square Enix Presents. We mentioned this last week on the show. Square Enix will be having an event, talking about some of the stuff going on in the future. First thing we're going to talk about is Avengers real quick. They did announce that Black Panther will be coming into the game sometime in the summer. And then there's no content getting, at least no story content getting added to the game until winter at the earliest.
Which it might be Spider-Man, I guess. But then again, people on Xbox and PC wouldn't be able to play.
Yeah, and they're getting screwed.
They also said it'd be coming in 2021.
It's got it, because no, they initially said it was going to be the summer of 2021. So now I'm imagining they're going to try to release it close to the date of the movie, just to kind of.
Oh, Far From Home?
Yeah. But it's like you're a live service game, and your game lives or dies based off how you update your game. And that was their main problem with the Hawkeye situation, is the game came out in September, and then you don't have any DLC come out until I think the first bit of Hawkeye came out midway through December. At that point, everyone's already done with your game, and to make them come back, you need to have a really good game, and they didn't have a really good game. And now with like Black Panther, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people are going to come back to play as Black Panther, and they're adding a new area of the map, which they didn't do in the Hawkeye DLCs. So you're going to have Wakanda now. So I mean, I'm imagining you're going to see a ton of people come back for this. It's just, are they going to stay? And I don't think they're going to stay. I think they'll beat the story for Black Panther, and then they'll be done with the game.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if I were to go back and do it, that's what I would do. I mean, I have no interest in the side content in Avengers because it's the same mission reskinned over and
Yeah,
over and over
it's
again.
the same maps, same gameplay mechanics, all super repetitive, same boss fights. Just it's not good.
Yeah, no. Definitely very low effort, and with the amount of development time they've had, pretty inexcusable. I mean, I think that's definitely more of a travesty than Cyberpunk was, personally. Just
Yeah,
the whole cycle with this game.
for sure.
And
Uh,
honestly, even more disappointing than Anthem, because, this was Avengers. It's
yeah,
such a lucrative IP that, is almost destined to be profitable, and they still botched it. Um, I definitely think the decision that they're making to add in cosmetics from, MCU characters or the MCU versions of these characters is good. I heard that they were going to be doing that soon.
yeah, but you
Um,
can't even get
and
the
that'll
other
draw
like the
people in.
skins. It's like you have a battle pass for every single character, so you have to play as that character, and you have to grind to level
Oh,
up. Like they have free cosmetics, like you can get their free signature outfit, but it's level 37 in the battle pass. I played through the entire Kate Bishop DLC as her, and I only got to level 7. So I need to get 30 additional levels just to get her free outfit. Like it requires a great amount of grinding to get to that, and that's just because they made it harder to get XP, and it's like,
I was gonna say maybe if they could relate to these versions of the Avengers more, and by they I mean players, if they could relate to them more, by seeing them in their MCU outfits, maybe that could bring some type of players like back. I don't know. Maybe it would be a very small number. Maybe I would assume maybe like 50 people max, but it's something's better than nothing at this point in the game's life cycle when it is sinking as badly as it is. And I just again, if it's gonna be a grind to even get that little bit of cosmetic reward just to keep your interest alive, it's not gonna be worth it for people.
it's not.
They're not gonna come
Like
back.
I don't know how they didn't go free to play already. Like free to play makes the most sense for them, and they just don't want to do it.
Yeah,
And
why did they increase the grind if they weren't gonna make it free to play? Because that's the only logical
I have
reason
no
I can
idea. It makes zero sense.
I
Like
don't know, man.
unless it's gonna come to PlayStation Plus and also Game Pass, like I can see them doing that. But I don't know, bro. They're just they're a total mess over there. I don't know what Square Enix is doing, but
I kind of just want it to be over and done with so Crystal Dynamics can get back to Tomb Raider,
I agree.
to be honest.
I mean, we know who's the other studio worked on Tomb Raider.
Eidos Montreal, I
I think
think,
they're working on a Tomb Raider right now, but
which they shouldn't be because they made Shadow, and Shadow is not a good game,
I
in my
enjoy
opinion.
Shadow.
Well, the narrative was dog shit, especially coming from Rise to Shadow. Like, oh, we're hyping up this villain for the past 2 games, and you have no idea who he is, but it's gonna be something that's gonna pay off. I'm telling you. And then, nope, beginning of Shadow. This is the guy you never heard of him before. He's been doing everything the whole time. Like, what? Like,
Yeah, it's one lacking area for me, the narrative. But as far as the next thing at the Square Enix presents, we saw Life is Strange, True Colors, which is technically Life is Strange 3 or 4 if you want to include the prequel into that. I know you haven't played Life is Strange, but I am a huge fan of Life is Strange. I think they have great stories. I have enjoyed pretty much all of the Life is Strange games more than my Telltale games I've played. So
really?
yeah. So they're a lot of fun in that department. Gameplay. I mean, the gameplay I think is better than Telltale just because in the Telltale games it's more of like you walk. If you want to shoot, you just drag your thing over and you press the button. The QTEs. With the Life is Strange games, they add an extra element into the gameplay with their special abilities, so it makes things a little bit more interactive and you get more
But not
engaged.
like challenging
No,
though,
yeah,
right?
not challenging.
Yeah.
No, these are not fucking Dark Souls level
I'm
challenge.
actually looking on the Game Pass app right now to see if they're on there because I
No,
am
they
in.
got removed.
Oh, they
That's
did.
how I played them. Or at least Life is Strange 2. But
You know
yeah.
what? I think I might have gotten the first one through Xbox Live Gold at some point, so I'm gonna check my downloads after we're done recording here today because I am interested in playing it because you've been talking about it quite a lot since this 3 announcement, and I am interested to give it a try, especially since you think it's better than Telltale games you played because some of the Telltale games I've played are some of the best narratives I've experienced, like the Walking Dead saga. I like their iteration of it better than the TV show and comics combined. Truly, I think they're much better at character development um, than the author of the novel is, or the graphic novel is, and the showrunners for
The
the
one
TV
thing the one thing I'm not sure if you're gonna like is I know they're a little bit on the edgy side, and I know you're
show.
yeah.
Well, I'm no bullshit, man. See, that's my thing. It's like if you're gonna be cringy or nonsensical or just dark for the sake of being dark, I'm gonna call you out on your nonsense. I'm just
I think you have Life is Strange 1 on Steam. I'm not 100% sure. I'm like 90% sure. But I think you
me.
have the first Life is Strange
I
on
would
Steam.
much rather play it on console so I can like sit back in my couch and like relax and stuff. Like it's a
Well,
game
there's a good thing. There's a fucking $1 fucking Steam thing I bought that fucking makes
Oh, the
Steam.
Steam Link.
Yes, the
Oh
Steam.
my god, I
Dude, they're
bought
just
it.
giving those things away for free. I'm
I
like, you
know.
know what? I'll take it.
It's
$1. I've never used it, bro.
literally right there behind my monitor and still sealed. Bought it for $5. But it was
I was
such
like,
a
you know,
good deal. How
$5. I
could I
gotta
pass
do
it
it. Steam sale, and it's like I've never used it.
Neither have I, but maybe that would be my use for it. Who knows? Um, I don't know if it could personally top certain Telltale games for me, like the Batman duology. I
I liked
love
it more than the Batman games, definitely.
but Wolf Among Us. I don't think can be top. That's my favorite Telltale game, and I
Yeah,
don't see
I
it.
put Wolf Among Us into like the same section. Walking Dead seasons 1 and 2 are also in the same tier as the Life is Strange games for me.
What about the final season, Walking Dead? That's my favorite.
For me, that's a tier below. I didn't
Really?
3 and 4 for the Walking Dead, and the Michonne stuff I didn't like as much.
I liked all of them, and I thought the Michonne one was really
They're
underrated.
good. Just I thought they were a step down. But yeah, it's True Colors. It's being developed by Deck Nine, who did Before the Storm. It's gonna have one character we know of from Before the Storm in the game, called Steph. She will also have a DLC in I think the deluxe edition and the ultimate edition, and you can buy it separately probably for $10. So it's just like a side story. Before the Storm had this as well. You could play as the two characters as kids, and like a little DLC thing for like an hour and a half.
Sounds like the 400 Days episode for the first Walking Dead.
Yeah, that's pretty much exactly what it is. But on top of that, Life is Strange 1 and Before the Storm are getting remastered with improved visuals, animations, and more. That will be coming in the fall of 2021. So, I mean, that might be better off for you, Mike, if you just want to wait for it to...
Well, if I already have it,
yeah.
I don't want to pay for it.
Yeah.
So.
But the remastered, I don't know how much it's actually adding besides improved visuals. I would imagine that's it. I don't think there's any actual content getting added to it. Next thing got to talk about, and last thing, really, the last big thing from the Square Enix event, is Project Athea, which turned into Forspoken. We saw a very small clip of gameplay from it. It looks pretty good. It looks high quality. My one concern that I have is, I don't know if you watched the gameplay, but it reminded me of Avengers in a way.
Uh-oh.
And I was just... You have, like, these scenes where it's showing your character run. And it's these very barren open world areas. Like, it shows, like, oh, here's you in the desert, here's you in the woods. And they're just middle of nowhere, nothing going on, very barren. And that's how I feel like with Avengers a lot of the time. Like, you're in the tundra. You have to run for fucking 10 minutes. Not 10 minutes. You have to run for, like, 5 minutes and not have anything interesting in the open world. And I feel like this is kind of reminding me of that, where they have these giant open worlds, but they have nothing in it. And these are the kind of games that don't need an open world. I'm going to say Forspoken doesn't need an open world because we haven't seen enough yet. But that's just the vibe it gives me.
Dude, you just made me so upset because you made me remember the first part of the Avengers game where you're playing as Kamala Khan in Jersey City, and I remember how good that was
Yeah, and
because
then it
it
changes the
was
entire
linear.
game after 2 hours,
And
and you're like, yeah, here's a giant open desert you gotta run through.
yeah, oh, that makes me really depressed. God damn.
Yeah.
Because there was potential there, and I know nothing about Forspoken, so I'm not going to add much. But whatever it is, don't follow in the footsteps of Avengers. Like, come on,
Yeah, but Forspoken,
that's
it's PS5 and PC, and I just want to check what the dev team has worked on before. Let me see. Luminous Productions.
that sounds vaguely familiar. But anything,
Nothing. All
or
right, they're a
they
brand new studio. They're founded in 2018. They have 150 employees from the last time we've seen.
that doesn't inspire much confidence.
They were an external studio who helped on Final Fantasy XV. I don't know Roman numerals, so
15.
that's 15. Okay, so they helped out on that, but that's pretty much it for them. They haven't done much.
Like, does it say what part of Final Fantasy 15 they
No, it
were?
does not. It just says they were a support studio on it.
I hope it's not the multiplayer component or something like that. If it was the DLC, it's like, cool. But I don't know.
And then the next Square Enix Presents will be coming in the summer, so I'd assume June, July probably. And I would imagine we'd see some sort of look at the new Final Fantasy there.
Maybe Spider-Man for Avengers.
That would make
Maybe
sense as well.
probably Black Panther if he's not out by then.
Yeah. I'm checking on the Luminous thing right now. Let's see.
What they did for Final Fantasy
Yeah.
15?
Luminous Productions was originally assembled from employees working on Final Fantasy XV while forming a new internal studio from existing ones. Blah, blah, blah. Nah, it doesn't say.
Well, that is unfortunate. I guess we'll just have to wait and see for more gameplay on Forspoken to give a more accurate judgment. But that is strange. Like the studio has only been a support studio, and then you give them their own AAA project being made by 150 people who haven't proven themselves yet. That's a big gamble.
Well, you want to see them move up in the world.
Well, yeah, of course, but like, I don't want to sound like a dick, but not everybody deserves that AAA budget, you know? And I feel like it should
That's fair.
everybody deserves their shot, but it's like if these guys haven't even made a game before, like their own game. I don't know, seems like a pretty heavy investment for a first project to me. I wouldn't
It
risk
is
my
fair.
assets like that personally. But I'm not Square Enix, so not
All
my
right.
call.
Uh,
I wish them the best though. I hope they can make the best game they possibly can, and I hope that we like it. But if we don't, us here at the Game Preview aren't gonna lie about it.
Yeah. Up next, actually write the timestamp down. I wish there was just like an automatic fucking timestamper, and I know that's definitely a piece of technology. There's no way it isn't. Like you just press a button on your keyboard and timestamp just automatically types. But
Oh yeah, no for sure.
So up next, a Xbox indie event will be Xbox indie event is happening on March 26th. We're going to see more than 25 games, including Stalker 2 and some other titles. Now, Stalker 2, we expected gameplay because they made it seem like it was going to be gameplay, but then they came out and said it's not gameplay, and I'm going to cry.
Yeah, that is highly upsetting.
It's very upsetting because I was so excited to see gameplay.
I was.
And now
too.
we're not getting gameplay. But we are seeing
It's
some other cool
It'll
indie
be
games.
worth the wait. It will be worth the wait.
13 Minutes will be there. The Ascent will be there. And, I mean, this event needed to happen. They had too many games coming out that were exclusive to Xbox or coming to Game Pass that we didn't really know enough about. And they weren't going to be, showstoppers at a June or July showcase. So they kind of needed to get them out now. So it makes sense to have this event.
I wonder if we'll see a little game there.
I think it's very. I know they said that it's you messed up on the artwork, but how do you mess up on the artwork that badly?
Exactly. Yeah, no.
And it makes sense.
This is a beloved game. You definitely, even though I hadn't played it before last night, I recognize this cover by now from all the Game of the Year awards I've
Yeah.
seen around the internet. And that art, like what that game is when you're designing that artwork. And they could say, like you said, oh, it was an honest mistake. We were just putting games in there. But why would you put a game in there that isn't going to be at your event? And obviously, if you announced it beforehand and you didn't want it to be out, you would say, "Hey, it was a mistake to cover it up." I don't know. We'll find out soon enough.
Yeah, 2
If it
days.
does come to Xbox, awesome, cool. If not, still have it on Switch and PC, so
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Yeah.
But it could be
I
a
mean, I think it
very
would make sense to get these games, get Hades on consoles if you're that development studio. I mean, you're an indie dev, and your game became a hit. So I think you'd want to get it on Xbox, and especially I think Microsoft would be coming to them with a blank check, being like, "Yeah, let's get this on Game Pass." So
especially if they get like exclusive rights to have it on Game Pass and it can never come to like PS Now or something like that, or
yeah,
Stadia.
I mean, Hades is a super popular game, so I expect it to come to console at some point. Will it be here? We'll find out. But I think sometime in the next 2 years, we'll definitely see console ports if it doesn't get shown off here.
I think it would be more likely to come to Xbox before PlayStation, just because Xbox has always been more supportive of indie games than PlayStation has.
Yeah.
Like historically, I mean, if you remember on the 360, they had a whole indie section dedicated in their store.
That's how I
which
found State of Decay.
That's how I found Castle Miner Z.
Yeah.
Oh man, Castle Miner Z, what a great game! Shout out to that. If you ever played it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Minecraft with guns, fantastic, utterly fantastic game.
All right. Up next, Switch Pro rumors. Hang on. 46.
Well, it's not necessarily even like new rumors, right? Just like
More just
confirmation of
updated
what we've
and
already
more
heard.
additional information that we've gotten. So, based off these sources from Bloomberg, who told the story last time on this update here, they're saying that it's going to release later this year, which is what they said last time. They're saying the 7-inch 720 OLED screen. They said that last time. But the additional stuff here is that they're saying that it's going to have DLSS, which is huge. Because with DLSS, I mean, it's on PC, it's coming to consoles very soon. It allows you to play at 4K, but it doesn't render at 4K, so it's only as taxing as maybe a 1440p or a 1080p. So it's going to look basically just as good, sometimes even better, and you're getting a lot better performance, so it's really a win-win. Assuming this is DLSS 2.0, which they didn't say it was 2.0. I mean, the initial DLSS technology from NVIDIA was kind of iffy. DLSS 2.0 was a lot better. So hopefully this is at the very least similar to 2.0 or even better. Would be great. Beyond that, they're saying it's going to have a better CPU and more memory. They're also saying that there will be a lot of launch games. I'm imagining Breath of the Wild 2 is one. Maybe Xenoblade 3. Metroid Prime. I doubt it.
I doubt it. Yeah, maybe the Metroid Prime trilogy.
Yeah, a new Mario Kart I think would make a lot of sense. So there are a lot of possibilities for games to come out at the same time.
Breath of the Wild 2, perhaps. You know, I think that would be more likely for spring of next year. But
yeah, I've been thinking that, but
it has
knows?
been 4 years. Because it has been 4 years, over 4 years.
I mean, if COVID never happened, I expected to see Breath of the Wild 2 right now. Like in March, I expected to see maybe on this exact release date, on the 24th or Friday, so the 26th. Like that would seem like the perfect date for like a Breath of the Wild. But obviously COVID happened and pushed everything back. And they're also saying that they think there is a very likely chance that it could cost $400, which I think makes sense. I mean, the $300 normal Switch can barely stay in stock. So $100 price bump for a better CPU, more memory, a better screen, and then the DLSS technology I think makes sense, even though I prefer for it to be $300. But what are you gonna do?
I think we'd all prefer it to be $300.
I mean,
I know I do.
But that is that. All right, guys, we are back after that short little cut right there. We had some technical issues, but talking about Dying Light 2, we're still looking at a 2021 launch. The event was definitely a disappointment because they hyped it up, making it seem like it was going to be some big thing. And just them, reading some mean tweets, making fun of themselves, and then like a sliver of gameplay, and then 2021 release date. Still pretty likely this game's going to get delayed again. I am optimistic about it. I don't think Mike is very optimistic about that date, right? You're thinking
I think
2022.
I'm thinking 2022, even if it's just January 2022, because Dying Light 1 came out January 2015, so it's not out of the realm of possibility. But yeah, I mean, the gameplay that we saw, even though it's very short, it was looking like it was running at 10, 15 FPS. Maybe
Yeah,
not 10, but definitely
and
15
you
around
got to
there.
learn from Cyberpunk's mistakes, dude.
Yeah, so I
You
think they're going
can't.
to take all the time they need. I mean, they already have been, to the point of where a lot of people are losing patience, and I'm not a part of that camp, but they are losing some goodwill.
Yeah,
And I think they recognize that, and I think that was the entire point of this announcement, just to make sure people understood this wasn't a Dead Island 2 situation.
yeah. The game is still coming
Yeah,
eventually.
so I do believe them on that. I just don't think it will happen this year. No, I don't.
That's very fair. Yeah, I don't know. I'm optimistic of a fall release, but it probably is very unlikely. Um, on that note,
Still
let's.
excited for the game
Oh
though.
yeah,
Very
I mean,
excited.
it was in my top 3 for 2020, and then you know how that went. We talked about it last week. I don't need to get
Yeah.
depressed again, but it should have been such a good year, and then just disaster.
And then
All right,
it's been 6 years since the first game too. Just wild to think about.
dude. Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
I mean, they had some big DLCs, but still, that is. It's time for a sequel. I'm ready for it. But on that note, let's talk about Gotham Knights. That is also been pushed back. It's got a delay until 2022. I think that was kind of expected. Um,
I'm very upset. Like
yeah, I am
I
too.
understand that this probably needed to happen, but I've been craving a Batman game for quite a while now, and unpopular opinion, but Arkham Origins is my favorite in the franchise.
I
I know
haven't
it's
played
like
Origins. I haven't played City, and I haven't played Origins.
City is what a lot of people say is the best.
I've
I
heard that.
recommend playing them both. I love them both, but Origins I think has a better story, at least for me. I like it more, and yeah, I definitely have faith in WB Montreal to deliver a quality experience. There are some things that concern me, like the enemy health bars and the numbers when you're hitting them. I don't
Well, they
like
said you
that.
could turn those off, which is good.
Did they? Okay, good.
Yes,
Yeah, that is
I'm
immediately
instantly
going
turning them off.
off.
I hate
Yeah,
that in any game. I hate that. It's like
no,
too
that
much of like
is
an
the first
MMO.
thing. Yeah, that's the first
Um,
thing that's going.
Yeah,
But
I mean, obviously, I wish it was like a true Batman game. This is more
me
about the
too.
people in Batman's life. I still think Batman's going to show up towards the end. That's my prediction for
Yeah,
a
he's
while.
not dead. I know that they're saying that he is, but
I
he's not.
think he'll be playable for the end of the game, like the
Well,
second
I don't
half.
know. That would be nice considering that I don't know if we're gonna get a Batman game this decade even because the next thing from Rocksteady is Suicide Squad, so I don't know. I would
No,
like
I
a
mean, I think it's
fully
very much
dedicated
possible
Batman
for
game.
the end. I mean,
I want
give
one. Don't get
another 4 or 5 years of development. That gets you to 2027.
depends how much of a success Suicide Squad is and Gotham Knights because Gotham Knights is co-op. They could make that last a while, and Suicide Squad is supposed to be live service through and through. I'm pretty
Is there
sure.
anyone else at Warner Bros. Who could make a Batman game?
Could give Monolith a shot at it.
What have they worked on?
Shadow of Mordor, Shadow of War.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that's it. And that I'm highly skeptical of. I mean, they could do something unique because they have worked on Fear, so they could work on like the more trippy sides of Batman, like maybe a Scarecrow game or Mad Hatter type game, something unique. Maybe Gotham by Gaslight, something special because that was supposed to be a game at some point and it got canceled. Um, Maybe we finally even get the Justice League game. I don't know. I mean, Monolith is pretty free, because Shadow of War ended the Shadow of Mordor Shadow of War storyline, and they could make another game in the Middle Earth universe. That is entirely possible, but that combat is eerily similar. It's the exact same free flow combat as Batman. Hell, they could even have Avalanche, who worked on Mad Max, do it. I wouldn't want that though.
Yeah.
Um, Honestly, I would really only want Rocksteady or WB Montreal, but just answering your question here, I feel like Monolith would be the only other studio capable of possibly developing a Batman title at WB. Although, again, I don't think I'd want them to. I think they could do it. It's just a gamble, and I don't want a gamble. I want a guaranteed good Batman game.
Yeah. I know this is something I haven't told you, but not that I really believe, but I do think that Microsoft is trying to buy Warner Bros. Game stuff. Like
I don't
there's
know.
those big rumors, and then people said they're not going to do it anymore. I think they are. And the reason why I have a whole theory here, and then people have been talking about, Microsoft doing this one more big time acquisition of like a publisher type situation. And I mean, if you really start looking at the publishers, and you look at a Sega, you look at a Square Enix, Microsoft's been working close with them from like a third party perspective, and I don't see why you need to acquire them if you have the third party perspective. Like something like a Sega, for example, if you have the third party deals in there and you don't really see the benefit of acquiring Sega as a whole, or it's going to cost too much money, or it's going to be the issues with a Japanese company and all that. Like if you look at Sega, what games do they have that is really popular besides the stuff coming from Atlas through Persona and then like the Yakuza stuff?
They have the Aliens IP. I'm pretty sure.
All right, the IP. I mean, but that IP's been pretty much dormant now. I mean, I know they're making the new Aliens co-op Left 4 Dead type game,
In Isolation was great.
but Isolation was 2013.
Was it? Or was it 14?
Still, I mean, that's what 7 years, 8 years has been dormant.
Oh, wow.
I mean, so if you look at like Sega as a whole, I think a third party deal just works better.
Sonic.
Dude,
Sonic.
Sonic is such a. I know a lot of people like Sonic, but Sonic is on that decline, bro. Sonic ain't gonna make a resurgence anymore and be a system. So, but like from Microsoft's point of view, I think it just makes more sense to do third party deals with them and get like Yakuza, like they did with like a Dragon, stuff like that.
I agree. No,
And if you see that relation grow with them, I don't see a reason for them to go acquire a Sega. I think Square Enix is not that they're too big, but I just don't see that kind of acquisition happen. I think the third party deals works a lot better, and I don't think Square would want to be bought. I think they want to continue working with PlayStation, so the third party deals through Square Enix makes the most sense. So that's two publishers gone. If you start looking at other publishers, I mean, Ubisoft's not going to happen. EA is not going to happen. At least I don't think that would happen. That'd be fucking insane. Take-Two's not going to happen. Embracer Group's obviously not going to happen. Bethesda's already been acquired from them. I mean, what other publishers are there?
CDPR.
And
Well,
I don't consider that a massive publisher though. They have one studio.
Yeah, but they are still worth a bit, even with the Cyberpunk kerfuffle.
But Poland wouldn't fucking allow that because Cyberpunk's still their fucking like biggest stock there. So, I mean, when you're looking at it, there's not that many other big publishers. I think Warner Bros. Well, they've been rumored for it for a while. I know the rumors died because AT&T supposedly didn't want to sell, but AT&T is still a failing company, and they're on the fucking decline. AT&T, they're gonna go for bankruptcy probably in the next couple of years. I mean, so yeah, gaming is profitable, but is it profitable enough to go save AT&T? No. So I think money talks, and I think Microsoft is going to acquire them by the end of 2022.
Capcom's another one. I was thinking about it.
I mean, I would put in the same situation with, is Japan's government going to allow that?
I think they would.
I don't think they would. I don't know. I mean, that's a massive fucking amount of money. I mean, it's not like, just the Tango GameWorks, the Bethesda. That's just one studio. That's a whole publisher that's worth billions of dollars.
As you said, money talks.
Money talks to Capcom, not to the Japanese government. I mean,
look, man. I mean, I'm sure they could work out something.
I don't know.
Everything has a right price. Everything.
Yeah, but not to the government. Dude, the government doesn't care about fucking.
Government's a business too.
Yeah, but Microsoft ain't gonna fucking bribe the Japanese government.
Imagine.
Yeah, take some Xboxes, guys. Here you go.
Be like, listen, guys, we'll give you a Series X each if you let this go through.
We haven't been selling a lot of Xbox in Japan. Give them away to free. Give it to the Japanese government. But I don't know. That's my hot take.
All I'm saying is, in the world of business, especially where things just happen, out of nowhere. Like no one would have thought about the Bethesda acquisition ever happened.
That is very true. I mean, I woke up in fucking shock. I remember I was calling you. I was like, Michael, wake the fuck up.
Yeah, no, it's look, anything's possible, but if I did have to pick a most likely publisher to be acquired by them, I would have to agree with you. Would be WB. That does seem like the most obvious choice.
Yeah.
Especially since it is an American company as well. I mean.
and with how AT&T, I mean, AT&T has a real reason to sell it because they are struggling. I mean, if you look at other things like Capcom doesn't have like a big source behind it that would want to sell. I mean, there's not many game companies that have a giant corporation behind it that would want to sell. I mean, AT&T is one of the only because they are a failing company right now.
Yeah.
But
Well, maybe if they restored the Snyderverse, things would go better for them. I don't know. Just a thought.
on that note, let's move in to Hitman 3 DLC. Now, I had a little rant to you before the show, and
Well, let me be the good cop before you come
well,
in.
let me just read about it first. Let me tell
All right.
people. So, Hitman 3 is coming out with the 7 Deadly Sins, which is a 7-part expansion for Hitman 3 that takes you deep into the mind of Agent 47, take on new challenges and unlock some rewards, and discover if you can resist all 7 sins. It's going to include 7 content packs that come out over time. The first one will be Act 1, called Greed. Each content pack adds a new contract at an existing location. The first content pack comes out on March 30th, and they will cost either $5 per content pack or $30 if you want them all.
All right, well, that is what I'm going to be doing. And here is my thing. Well, my theory about this whole thing, and spoilers for Hitman 3 story ahead. Right before the last mission, when you go to Mendoza at the end of that contract after you killed Archibald Yates and Tamara Vidal, Diana drugs you and knocks you out, and then you get brought to the Carpathian Mountains in Romania, where you're on a train with the Constant, and you're locked in there, and you have to kill him. But there is kind of a dream sequence before that, and I think during that dream sequence when 47 is drugged out and lucid dreaming and whatever, it's going to make him kind of go back to his roots. And that's kind of like the whole thing about Hitman 3 is like one of the underlying themes is like, you're still the same monster that you always were. At least that's what the villains try to instill into you. You haven't really changed that much, and you'll always be that killer for hire. And then in the trailer for this, it's like Diana saying to him, for the expansion, it's like, don't you miss the old ways, when you just did it for money and you got paid. And I think it's just gonna be him really reflecting on what he used to do and why he does it now, and the difference there, at least as much as they can, because this isn't going to be as in depth as the main game story. But that's definitely how they're going to fit it in there, in my opinion. Another thing I do want to mention is that the main game only has 6 locations, and there's going to be 7 contracts. So I know they said it will be of existing locations, and I do believe that to be true for the first 6, but maybe the 7th one will be a new map. At least I'm hoping, because
either that or
Hitman 2. There were 2 new maps for Hitman 2 they added post-launch, so it is possible.
I'm thinking either that or they're just going to take a map from Hitman 2.
Or the ICA training base or something like that.
Yeah.
But I hope they don't.
Yeah, I mean, here's my thing with it. If there's like an actual story behind this, then I think a $30 price point is fine. But
well, yeah, I think there will be, like I said, like if you ever played like Hitman Contracts, it's like a retelling of the first game, but while he's bleeding out, and there's like different aesthetic things about it to match the game's atmosphere. So I think it'll be something along those lines.
Yeah. So if that is the case, then I'm fine with the price. But if that isn't the case, and they're just charging $30 for 7 assassination contracts with no changes to the map, no additional maps.
Oh, there's gonna be changes. There's gonna be changes.
We don't know that.
I mean, if there are new contracts, you already know there's going to be changes. We saw in the trailer Dubai like covered in piles of gold and stuff. Like there's definitely going to be some locations blocked off. You're going to find new pathways, new suits, new weapons, new targets. So you're definitely going to have to tackle those.
I get that. I get that. Just this is $30. This is half of the price of a game, a full game.
Yeah.
I mean, so you can get. Let's see. I don't know what game to say. I was gonna say a game. Well, what game's coming out soon that's actually worth full price? I was gonna say Outriders, but I didn't want to say Outriders. Yeah, you can get half of Monster Hunter Rise for this price. So it's like $30 is fair for DLC if they actually add enough content to it.
So, well, you got to remember I understand why you might think it's a little bit steep, but they are their own self-publisher now. Well, they kind of have WB Publishing, but they are they're their own entity. They don't have the cash flow from Square Enix like they used to. And maybe it's a little steep, but if you're a fan of Hitman, you won't mind paying this price. I know I don't. I mean, if it is an excuse to replay all 7 contracts, and again, I've gotten all of them mastered on Hitman 3, and I've done them all Silent Assassin suit only. So I've really beyond doing every single challenge, which there's not much point to because I already hit max mastery. There's not much I can do with those contracts besides mess around and create my own and just use the maps as a sandbox. But now that there's going to be a redesign to them with new objectives, just any excuse to jump back in, I will take because I love Hitman 3. And like I said, I have like 80 hours in the game. I really enjoyed my time with it. So, and I still haven't installed on my Series X. So yeah, you bet your ass I'm getting this DLC as soon as
And
it
to
drops.
anyone watching who's not who doesn't read our website, the only reason I'm very defensive about this is the fact that if you wanted all the content in Hitman 3 prior to this DLC, it was
If you
already gonna.
didn't own the games before.
If you didn't own the games before and you're brand new into the Hitman universe and you can't go get physical and you're forced to pay digitally, either you're on a PC or you have a
Xbox
digital
Series S.
PS5, you have a Series S, or for that, you would be paying $195 for all the content because nothing was discounted. All the stuff, the Hitman 2 content was at full MSRP price. They didn't discount any of that, bringing it into Hitman 3. Same with the Hitman 2016 content. All of that was at its full MSRP that it launched at. So, I mean, it's already expensive, and I had a problem with that. So then an additional $30 onto that, you're well over $200 now for a single game if you want all the content. Which, I mean, I support IO. It was a fantastic game, but some of their pricing I feel like has hurt them because they could have, more people would have checked out the DLC if it was better priced, if that makes any sense.
No, it does.
Because
But
Hitman 2016 and Hitman 2 should not have cost $90 to go get all the maps from that.
But I think that's the case for the minority, right? I don't think that's what the majority of people had to deal with. Although it is kind of shitty and scummy.
Well, I mean, majority of the people just played Hitman 3 and then were done.
Yeah.
They didn't care about going to Hitman 2 in 2016's map. They played Hitman 3.
Exactly, and the people who did care about that most likely already owned it. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
Although
I'm definitely nitpicking here.
Yeah, it is a shitty situation. It could have been handled better for sure, but it's not a gargantuan problem, right? So I think this DLC, for what it is, if it is everything I think it's going to be, it's worth the price for a Hitman fan. Because you get a lot of replayability out of this stuff. It's not like
I mean, if there's an actual story there, I'll pay the $30. I'm gonna check it out if there's a story. But
I think there will be a loose story for sure. Nothing like what we got.
No,
but now that maybe because now they do all their cutscenes in game in engine now. So
yeah,
they seem pretty. They seem to know how to get that done in a reasonable amount of time. The Hitman 3 in-game cutscenes look good. So,
all right. Anyway, let's talk about the greatest game of all time, Fallout 76.
Oh, okay. Well, this is all you. So take it away.
Mike's gonna go to the bathroom. So Fallout 76 had their 2021 roadmap come out, and it's a little disappointing. Well, just if you didn't, were familiar with the roadmap for 2020. It had Wastelanders coming out in spring, which Wastelanders was supposed to come out in 2019's fall. It got delayed to 2020 spring. So that came out in the spring there. And then you had 2 Brotherhood of Steel DLCs that were planned for, I want to say it was like September and then December. The September one got delayed to December, so that came out then. And the one that was originally supposed to release in the winter, called Steel Rain, got delayed into 2021. Now, people, normally expect that to come probably sometime in Q1, and it's coming sometime in the summer now, is what they're saying. So that has gotten a pretty massive delay. And then that's it for story content for 2021. There's been no mention of any new quests whatsoever on this roadmap. Is it still possible? Yeah. But I mean, if you look at this roadmap, I mean, in the spring they're adding camp slots, which will give more building space in your camp and up the limits and all that, which is cool. and it allows you to build other camps. And then you could just, when you load into the game, you pick what camp you want to load in with. Special loadouts, and then daily ops, which the daily ops, I guess, is some sort of content, but it's not good content.
Wait, so they are increasing the building limit for
From
bases?
my understanding, yes.
Okay, because that's why I stopped playing. I hit level 25 and I built my base to the max that I could, and I really liked it. And then they're like, okay, you can't build anymore. So I was
Yeah,
like,
from my
and this was
understanding,
before NPCs and the story content.
yeah,
So I was like, what the hell is playing? What's the point of playing
from
anymore?
my understanding, sometime in the spring, they're going to be adding the camp slots, which will this camp slot thing will make the camp bigger, so you can build more in your initial camp spot. They already introduced a few months ago. They introduced bunkers, so you have an instant space. You can go in the ground, and you get more space, so it's just another loading screen, and then you have a huge underground bunker you could build in. So they've already kind of done that, and now we're gonna get to the next level here. And then on top of that, you're gonna get the camp slots, so then you can load in different camps, so you can build other stuff on your profile without having to destroy your previous camp.
The question is, though, will it just work?
Will it just work? I don't know. We'll have to ask Todd
That is
Howard on that one.
we'll have to ask Todd.
But besides that, in the spring, gonna get crafting sliders, console aim assist, and camp mannequins for displaying clothing. Then in the summer, with the Steel Rain, which will be the final part of the Brotherhood of Steel DLC. So quests, new NPCs, new locations. That will be the bigger update this year. Legendary crafting, legendary power armor as well, and then unlimited ranks will be coming into the season. And then that's pretty much where things start to just drop off. I mean, in the fall, it says worlds are changing and they're going to have some big updates for private worlds. They didn't say what it's going to be. I'm hoping that camp building gets expanded even more through the private worlds and they make them free, because that's how it should be. Also, I mean, mods were promised for this game, so maybe they'll add modding on private worlds. I think that would be a fucking huge update if they could do that. And they also said there'll be a daily ops expansion. And then in the winter, there's going to be a alien event from the stars. Maybe a Starfield hint right there. I don't know. 4-star legendaries, the seasonal event, new challenges and daily ops, and then pets coming to camps. So, I mean, hopefully they'll add more quests for that second half of the year, because it's looking kind of weak, especially because Steel Rain, the Brotherhood of Steel DLC, was supposed to be coming in the December
Yeah.
of 2020.
Well,
So, if that's your
what
only...
you just said to me sounds more like one update than an entire year's worth of a roadmap, or maybe like 2 updates at most, but like not what we're getting over the course of this entire year. That seems a little bit lacking, at
It
least to
does,
me.
but I mean, they label it as spring, summer, fall, and winter.
Mm.
So, I mean, hopefully they'll have another update. And, I mean, that fall spot looks very empty right now, so I think it's very much possible that you're going to see something bigger there. Maybe I'm wrong, but...
They probably would have already announced it, start building hype, though, no? I mean, if they already announced what they're going to have in winter, wouldn't they,
Well,
have
there's
the
always
fall?
the Bethesda showcase.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
on that note, I kind of carried the topic here there. Mike's going to carry the next topic, because this is something I know he is very much passionate about. There is a report, and now this is just a report from the Gamer. There has been no additional sources besides the Gamer. There's been other articles, but every article sources the Gamer.
So take it with a grain of salt.
Absolutely, but he is saying that the PS3, Vita, and PSP stores will be permanently closed in a few months. Now, the PSP store was closed in 2014, so
I thought you said 2016 earlier.
It's summer. It was definitely a few years ago. I don't remember when it was. I never had a PSP. I was never cool enough. I did have a Vita, but Mike, take it away. What are your thoughts on
Well,
this?
here's the thing. When it comes to the PSP store thing, that could, that does sound a little off, because like you said, that store has been closed. But it also could be in reference to the PSP games you can buy on the Vita and PS3 stores, because you can download them and buy them off of both. So that could be what he's referencing. If this is true though, and my entire discussion here is going to be based off the assumption that this is true, because if it's not, then there's nothing to discuss here. But Well, actually, no, that's not true. If it's not, I'll say this real quick. It is going to happen at some point in the near future. Sony doesn't have the cash flow like Microsoft does from all of its other, services and whatnot. It isn't as keen on game preservation as Microsoft is with backwards compatibility and stuff like that. So at some point, this will happen. It does happen now at the dates that have been described by the gamer. I am not that surprised. I would believe it. PS3 has been out for a very long time. The Vita has been as well, and it hasn't done that well. Because in my opinion, it was ahead of its time. But that's not what's up for discussion here. Uh, and obviously, yeah, the PSP games on both storefronts would just be a casualty of those shutting down. And if they do, that is very unfortunate because there are so many games on the digital stores that are either way cheaper on there than they are physically, or just not available anywhere else. So when those storefronts shut down, if no one has them downloaded on their console, there is no word as to whether you'd be able to download these games if you own them already. But I would assume not. If the stores are going to be gone. So it just really is the discussion of game preservation. It is an art form. There is a history to be preserved here, in my opinion. There are museums for video games, and I think that Sony shouldn't be taking such a profit centric look at this sort of stuff. Like I understand it's capitalism and they need to turn a buck. I understand that it is operational costs that don't need to be spent, but as someone who likes to preserve video game history and wanting to ensure that there are no games that will just be completely gone forever, you won't be able to play them anymore. um I'm not a fan of it,
Right.
especially for another reason being, some people aren't, they don't have, you know
The
how
financial
do I put
situation
this?
to always upgrade.
Yeah, yeah, I was trying to put it nicely, but yeah, it's just bluntly, a lot of people aren't don't have the financial means to upgrade. I have a friend personally who's still on PS3 who never even got the chance to upgrade to a PS4 or a PS5 just because, money had to go to more important things. And they still use their PS3 as their daily driver, still playing Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2 Zombies, and they're content with that. They're fine with that. They're happy with that. But to deny them access to buy DLC for those games or to buy other games because they just haven't had the means to upgrade fully yet to the next generation, that's a little scummy. Because I think, a lot of people are so fortunate they do have a PS4 or a PS5. They forget that some people haven't even been able to upgrade to the last generation yet because some people just simply don't have the means. And that's, very overlooked by a lot of people because again, we are so fortunate. Um it definitely does come from a place of some type of privilege, I guess you could say.
And the other
Um,
thing is that, like, with physical right now, it's kind of okay to a degree because then you can at least get physical games put in. But if you look in like years down the future when there's only digital consoles, you're not going to be able to get discs to go play these games. So when they decide to pull the plug, they're really pulling the plug. You have no options.
yeah, it's like if you have an Xbox One S or PS5 digital edition, obviously it's going to be a very long time from now, but those storefronts will shut down
Well,
eventually.
hopefully
And
not with Xbox because I mean Xbox is still
well,
supporting their
yeah,
original stuff, and that's the
but the
thing that hurts
PS5
even more with
digital
PlayStation is
edition,
that Xbox is supporting all their stuff, and then you see PlayStation just axing stuff and not supporting backwards compatibility and all that, and it's a shame.
yeah. Another reason why this story got around so quickly, even though it is only corroborated by one source, is because of how believable it is.
It is believable. That's something you would expect Sony to do.
Yeah, and even if it doesn't happen now, it will happen at some point.
Yeah,
I mean, what do they have? PS Now? That's their attempt at preservation. A cloud-based service where you can't even download the games to your hard drive. Come on,
it need to be
like come on.
better.
It does need to be better. And as someone who owns a Vita and a PS3 still, I don't like being rushed into buying things, so I have them on my console so they don't go away. Like
Yeah,
I just bought, and I actually did play. I forgot
Nintendo.
to mention this earlier. I bought, yeah, Mario's being executed March 31st. Don't forget, turn on your TVs to watch the public execution. Anyways, um, Yeah, no, I got like a Star Wars bundle with a bunch of PSP and Vita games for my Vita, and I got the Dark Souls 2 Season Pass on my PS3 because, even if the rumor doesn't turn out to be true, they will do it at some point, and I want to make sure that stuff is on my console, but I don't want to be rushed into buying a bunch of DLC and digital games because I know I won't be able to get them again. It's exactly what Nintendo's doing right now with like the Fire Emblem 30th Anniversary Edition, the Mario 35th Anniversary games and whatnot. On a much wider scale.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, no, I'm not a fan of this at all.
I
Look,
mean,
I understand the monetary reasons, but
PC
not
has done
worth
a
it.
great job with Legacy. Xbox has done a great job with their Legacy stuff. PlayStation and
They don't
Nintendo
care.
have not.
They don't
They,
care. They did on the Wii U with the Virtual Console, but then like with the Switch generation, they just don't give a fuck
yeah.
past NES and SNES games.
I mean, and now with like the whole Mario situation with Nintendo and Fire Emblem as well. I mean, these are games that we both went out and caved. I mean, we both ran out and got 3D All Stars. I was not planning on playing 3D All Stars yet. I have other games on my Switch I want to play first, but now I
Yeah, and
went out and bought them, so I don't have
after
to
the
go on
show,
eBay and go spend even more.
after the show, I'm gonna buy Fire Emblem 30th
Yeah.
Anniversary because it's only $6. But again, I would have rather wait to have spent that into a later time, but there is going to be no later time. It's
Exactly.
like the Disney Vault and
Yeah, that was bullshit.
the entire diamond market. Yeah,
But yeah, it's a shame. But as Tony would say, what are you gonna do?
what do you, as any New Jersey Italian would say, what are you gonna do? Huh?
On that note, I guess we could talk about some good stuff that Sony is doing. It's not all bad over at Sony Studios.
No, of course not.
So they started out with this play at home initiative early in the pandemic. They gave out some free games. They did Ratchet very recently, and now on March 25th, which is tomorrow as of the recording date, they are going to be giving away Abzu, Enter the Gungeon, Res Infinite, Subnautica, The Witness, Astrobot Rescue Mission, Moss, Thumper, and Paper Beast away for free as part of the Play at Home initiative, which that is, I think, 5 indie games and then 4 VR games. So
now, do you get to keep those forever?
Keep them forever. Once you redeem them, they're yours.
And
you don't need PS Plus. You can just get them.
And are they going up all at the same time or sporadically being dropped?
Should be all at the same time tomorrow.
Cool. I'm definitely. You said there's VR games in there?
Yeah, the VR games are Moss, which a lot of people talked very good about. Astrobot Rescue Mission, which was another one people talked very good about. And then Paper Beast and Thumper, which I'm not familiar with the two of those.
Thumper, I know. Thumper, I've heard is good. I don't know how it's going to work in VR, though. That's interesting.
And
Moss
as far as the normal games, right? Subnautica is a game that I know a lot of people like, so that's probably my number one recommendation out of those games.
Yeah, Moss is the one with the pig on the cover, right?
Yeah, the little mouse, I think, or pig. Mouse.
Is it a mouse? I thought it was a pig.
Yeah, it's a mouse. I'm looking at it.
Huh.
And then also, if you are a PlayStation Plus member, or actually no, I think this is Play at Home as well. So at Play at Home, there will be one other game coming in April. That's going to be Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition. So that will come with the DLC. Sony, of course, is doing that because they want you to go buy the sequel when that comes out. And I mean, they did that with Ratchet. It makes sense. Give your game away for free for everyone, and you get some good PR for it, and then you also get people invested, and hopefully it will help your sales on your sequel. So,
well, it's good marketing.
It is. And our final topic of the day is we're just going to talk about It Takes Two real quick. Its review scores have dropped, and it looks like it's going to be a huge success, at least from a critical standpoint.
If you're unfamiliar with It Takes Two, this is the next game by Hazelight Studios, Joseph Fares Studios, and they made Brothers and A Way Out.
And you might know him from Fuck the Oscars.
Yeah.
But yeah, so far it has a 90 on Metacritic. Majority of people are saying that it has some of the best gameplay that they've ever seen in a co-op game. I've seen a few people a little bit iffy on the story. But,
yeah, Eurogamer was talking about how the story was irritating in their words.
So, I mean, we did not get a review copy, unfortunately. We reached out to Hazelight. They didn't love us enough. But
yeah, they shot us real hard.
I mean, I still haven't beaten A Way Out. I gotta do that.
Neither have I. Yeah.
So, yeah, maybe if we had an A Way Out review, they would have loved us a little bit more.
Perhaps. Well, we can have an It Takes Two one.
We can. Yeah, I'm definitely excited for it. It looks good. So yeah, keep it on your radar if you are interested. It'll be coming to EA Play Pro, so
Well, that's
$15, and you can get that from that.
Wait,
So
EA Play Pro. So if I have Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play, do I not get it then?
you do not get it. You get it 6 months down the line, I believe.
Oh, Yosef, come on, man.
Yeah, you got to pay the
I know it's not
$15 for
his
EA Play
decision,
Pro.
but yeah,
But
unfortunate.
and it does come with a friend pass, so if you get it, you can play with a friend for no additional cost. And yeah, let me just check, make sure no breaking news has happened.
I don't believe so, but yeah, I'll give everything a quick
Because
scan
that
myself.
loves to happen whenever we're recording the podcast. It's like 1 p.m.
Oh,
hit. What?
well, Rocket League is getting a mobile version,
What the
perhaps,
fuck?
to iOS and Android. Yeah, Rocket League Sideswipe is coming to iOS and Android later this year. This all-new game will bring the competitive car soccer gameplay you all love to mobile devices with unique arcade-style action.
Oh, there you go. It's free. If anyone wants to do it, you go knock yourself out.
That's pretty big. If you like Rocket League, that's the
There you
official
go.
announcement. Can't really see it because reflective on my phone, but yeah, go to their social channels. That's all there. Yeah, that actually could be a good mobile game. Actually,
Cool.
definitely has the potential to be and could definitely run on mobile. It's not the most graphically demanding thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, but besides that, that is the last minute thing.
All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. We've been doing this now for 20 episodes, so that's definitely longer than I expected us to survive. So thank you for the people who watch.
Absolutely, thank you.
And
Everyone.
episode 21 will be out next week, next Wednesday. So thank
We
you
will
for
see you
watching.
all then.
Have a good one.